appropriately.
So school unrest is an issue, and these committees had to deal with the issue of school unrest over the last 30 years. And that it was an issue 30 years ago. Changuli boys, we looking at, so many things that happened over time. And here we are again in 2026 dealing with the same issue, where now girls have been taken to court. They're being held for the next 21 days at the children's center, whatever this is called.
They're now being remanded.
They're being remanded now, right, in Naivasha. But the question is that there's investigations that are being done. Whilst that is happening, 12 schools officially have been reported to have closed because there was some kerfuffle overnight. And they wake up in the morning and school administrations have said, we don't want this situation to happen, so how about everybody go home until things die down? But I have a problem with that because we are still not addressing the issue. I gave an example. We can be angry at one another and then we can decide to walk away and then we can say, well, let the anger cool and then we come back. But we've not dealt with the issue. We haven't dealt with the issue. Children may come back to school after a week, 2 weeks, whatever. You might decide, okay, let's come back and do midterms. But have we dealt with the issues?
Not.
School unrest now is what we are talking about. School unrest led to 16 girls dying. School unrest led to a number of things happening. The inquest still goes on for the Ndarasha fire, so we don't know the cause of that. But school unrest has been a problem. What is the problem and how do we deal with it? These schools that are closing today, national schools, sub-county schools, extra county schools, they're all closing today.
Let me tell you, the only button these people are pressing within the safety standards and protocols is that of closing the school to avert a strike. Because that is also part of the safety standards. But that should be coming as a last resort. And even when that is happening, that's why you'll find the director, the county level, getting involved, consulted before such actions are done. Because if as a teacher, you had that information and you knew that such a thing is likely to happen. And these are children, you don't know what has really triggered it. It's gone beyond what you can control. Then it is allowed within those safety standards to invoke that. How come that is the only one that they know? It is like a pilot of a plane that only remembers even a small thing is already ejected himself and left everything. That is not a good pilot. So back to where that question comes. Because when the Utumishi Academy, Utumishi Girls High School situation happened, of course, these children, let me tell you, they've had this information. Even those in boarding schools, they've had. This is information now in the public knowledge. And indeed, maybe many of them have also been going through a lot of stressful moments as we speak. I've told you, I think I've mentioned the cases of congestion in the halls of residence. You can even think of meals and issues. Actually, there are some parents, we speak a lot with parents. There are some parents whose children are at home, and they said the reason why they were disquiet, there was a lot of disquiet in their school and unhappiness is these people raised school fees. And the justification they were making, they were making justification that for them to afford good food, because the food rations was low and even the quality was poor. So the administration and the BOM, they consulted and said, okay, it will be, your parents have to cough a little bit more. So when they received this money, they said the ratio remained the same, but even quality became poorer. These are young ones. They are observing this. So then they start asking themselves, so why was even the raise in the school fees? So these are some of the things. Whatever we do, we think we are the adults who are responsible and all. These young ones are listening, they are watching. And also, these people are also listening and watching how our political leadership is misbehaving. Using terminologies and calling one another all kinds of disrespectful. What makes you think that these young ones in school, cannot attempt such, and they even become disrespectful to
it's
their
a little bit
order.
more. It's a lot more than disrespectful, yes. Boaz, because we saw if the CCTV footage is anything to go by, there was a deliberate attempt to take life. Look at what we saw, because I can understand if the quality of food is poor, but that's why we're saying we're dealing with layers of issues here, because these girls, like you say, they knew that there was no escape. There was no escape for these girls where they lit this fire.
The information that is there, I think first the CCTV thing, we've been in contestation on that, because, digital surveillance has got also its rules and protocols. Among those include the fact that you cannot install them in the bedrooms and dormitories, particularly those for the girls and boys, those are their bedrooms. Two, that you can also not install them in the bathrooms and in the toilets. And so I suspect, this is my personal view, not even Elimobora, not even Kenya Human Rights Commission, because I know those within the consultation we've agreed on have bought that CCTV trash. I call it, this is similar to Endarasha, where they'll be taking you through a tunnel, and then finally they tell you they're unable to establish what caused this. And then when now you are taking legal action, then they say, now let us initiate an inquest to help us unravel what really happened.
Do you think people are being taken on a wild goose chase here?
I think so. I've said so. And you've realized that I've taken that as now my personal position, because I know there are people who still think that those guys are doing serious investigation. My understanding is that whenever these things happen, what the government does, and they're very creative in doing it, is basically to try and see how can we deflect the rage and the anger of the public, deflect it from us and direct it somewhere else. They do that so that they buy time. By the time these things will unravel and you realize, oh, nothing has really happened. If this government was serious, would be having people in jail concerning the Endarasha Hillside Academy thing.
Boaz.
That is where serious top-level investigators went there with forensic investigate. Then they come and tell you, we are unable. What kind of rubbish is that? So when I saw, for me, that footage, the first thing I said, these guys are being very creative. No, let me tell you, I think we have to be very honest here.
Let's do it.
When you install CCTV, it means you have a higher level of surveillance in an institution. And the back end is always where in the monitor room. You can imagine this watchman, male or even female, watching how our girls, the nakedness of our girls in their bedroom and when they are going to the bathroom and all. I don't think that is happening. These are made up. That is my personal opinion. And I think for as long as this government keeps on taking us on wild goose chase, they can cook up things. This is the country Ndu. That those investigators, at one point they told us there's a minister who actually took himself to a forest, shot himself, and after shooting himself, struck a matchbox, actually poured fuel on himself, struck a matchbox and burnt himself. These are same investigation system that we have, because they have also not been put to account. So they can concoct, they can create, they can bring up anything. And this trash called CCTV in our girls' bedroom, away with it. That is not how you deal with the matters. But even if those girls are still suspects, I don't condemn those girls. And these are children. I doubt whether there's a single child who leaves their home that I'm going to kill others. It doesn't happen. Even if that happened and they initiated a fire process within the dormitory, the safety and standard protocols would have allowed us to nip that fire in the bud and save the situation. Where were the matrons? How come the doors could not open? How come the grills were there? They could jump out. You would get serious burns, yes, but they'll be out. So whatever happens, whether it is an emergency caused by external intrusion of something from external forces or internal, the standards allow for a process that would ensure that these children remain